Hello, the Well Ministries.
You know you don't have to get that close to it, right?
Sorry.
It's okay. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's episode of Going Deeper at the Well. These videos are all about spending some time talking about God's truth and hearing some godly testimonies. Now today I'm joined with Caden Cooper, one of my favorite all-time students, and we were just now talking that on my list of all-time favorite students, my sister is without a doubt number one, and I would say you're right there at number two. And so I'm thankful you're here, man. I've been able to watch you grow up from a little sixth grade kid in the youth ministry now all the way through high school. And now you're leading in our youth ministry. And it's been fun to watch you go from someone that met Jesus and now growing into a godly man. So thank you so much for being here today. Now, for us, we're going to talk about a topic that everyone needs to have assurance on. This is something that's going to last forever because our topic today is eternity. And I think the best way to go about this is just to jump right in to the day eternity became real for you and you got saved. Can you tell us a little bit about that day you got saved?
It was my freshman year, which is 2017, and I was sitting in Bible class, and my Bible teacher decided to show us the movie Left Behind that day, which is about the rapture. And I got to watching the movie, and in the beginning of the movie, it showed people being raptured out, and it was just mad chaos in the world. And I was just sitting there in my seat, and my heart was about to beat out of my chest, and I just didn't know if I was going to make it out of the class that day. So when the class ended, I rushed down the hall to my mom's room, and I just told her, I said, I got to get saved. And right there, I asked the Lord to come into my heart.
Man, that's awesome. Now, you mentioned some things in your testimony that we want to make sure everyone's familiar with. One of the first things is you start talking about the rapture. Now, you got to see it in like a man-made depiction of it in a movie in Left Behind. I remember watching that when I was in middle school, and I mean, it was a real thing, right? Like you start thinking about, am I going to be one of those people? Now, the Bible talks a lot about Jesus' second coming, but in 1 Thessalonians 4, it mentions the rapture, and Paul's talking to the church there, and he says that one of these days there's going to be a loud noise, a trumpet that's going to sound, and Jesus is going to come down into the clouds in the sky, and it says that the dead in Christ are going to rise, and those that are believers in Jesus that are still alive are going to go and meet him up in the air. Now, that when he says rapture, that's what he's talking about, and that's something that's not just made up. It's something that could happen any moment now. And so for you being a ninth grader, right? That's what you said. You're a ninth grader. You're watching this, and it began to get real for you. You started thinking, if I miss it, I may miss eternity with Jesus. So for you, I think as a ninth grade guy, would you say you were kind of stopped in your tracks that day?
For sure.
Yeah, God got your attention,
Yeah.
right? But most people don't pay much attention to eternity. Maybe it's because of the lifestyles we live. Maybe it's just because we don't know biblical truth, or the world doesn't know biblical truth. What would you say is one of the reasons we don't think about eternity that much?
I would say it's the busyness in our lives. So, I mean, for me, especially this past election and everything, I got a little nervous about everything, and I was like, are we going to be okay? And so I just started focused on the world and wasn't really focused on eternity. And so I sat down and I prayed, and the Lord gave me peace of mind, and now I'm focused on eternity, and I'm ready for him to come back.
Yeah. So I mean, even in the day-to-day stuff, right? Whether it's school and the schedule you're trying to balance as a young man, or it's big things that happen like politics or natural disasters and things like that, it can oftentimes lead us to think about the future, but just the short time, right? Like you're a young man, you're thinking, what is this election going to mean for me as I get older? But one of the things Paul says, I think, is really good. He says in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, he says, while we look not at things which are seen, but are things that are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. And so you just talked about having that heavenly mindset and that eternal mindset. When did that begin to change for you, just to stop thinking about temporary things and begin thinking about eternal things?
I mean, all the time I find myself just thinking about worldly things, and just getting worked up about everything that's happening and all the chaos that's happening. But then when I pray, then the Lord just gives me peace, and I just start focusing on Him and
Yeah.
eternal.
Yeah, He begins to change your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Begin to think about the things that matter. That's good. Now, like you were saying, people get busy and don't really think about eternity. But the truth is, as hard as this is to say, there's a place called hell, and it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And many people may be watching this, and you're not sure about where your eternity is, but heaven is just as real as hell is. And for you that day when God got your attention, what happened after you saw the video? When you ran down to your mom's room, what did she begin to share with you?
She just took me through the Romans road and just told me that the only way to salvation is through Jesus. And so I read the scriptures and I asked the Lord to come into my life. And after that, I knew my security was in Him.
Man, that's good. So it started with fear. God began to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, by going to the Word, you were able to have faith and hope and peace, like you've already said. And I think for one of the things I want to mention to our students and people watching is salvation is not being afraid of hell. Salvation is not being afraid of the rapture to take place. Salvation is not fear of a place. It's faith in a person. And so for you, you were able to experience that day in your mom's classroom, talking through the scriptures, and your eternity changed. Mm-hmm. What would you say about that moment with your mom, having a godly mom, being able to go to her? What would you say about that?
I mean, it was just special that just my mom of all people could just lead me to the Lord. Mm-hmm. I mean, the mom of the house is always the one that cares for you the most. So I was just thankful that it could be her.
I would even say that you're gifted with godly parents that think about eternal things. And if for students, if your parents are more concerned with church than they are about sports, or they're more concerned with the Bible than the things going on in the world, understand that's a gift. That's the greatest thing you can ever have besides Jesus Himself. It's godly parents. And so you're blessed with that. I'm blessed with that. And I would just encourage our parents that are watching, the most important thing you can ever talk to your son or your daughter about is not where to invest money. It's not about what school they need to be going to. The most important thing you can ever share with them is how they can get to heaven, and that's only through Jesus Christ. So, Caden, talking a lot about eternity. There are times in life where you have to be reminded to think about those things. There are times in life where, I get nervous and I get caught up in the temporary things. But what's one truth you'd want to leave with our students today when you think about eternity?
I would just say that as the world gets more chaotic, I would just say that just focus on the Lord and focus on Him and let Him be your peace, so that you can just know that there's a better place that we're going to go to.
Yeah, man. That's good. That's good. Now, students, one of the last things we want to leave you with is the only way to have hope in heaven is by putting your faith in Jesus. So if you're watching this and you don't have assurance that you're going to spend eternity in heaven with Him, and you're not sure where you're going to be, please send us a message. Send us a text, send us a message on Instagram, and we'll reach out to you and share with you the hope that's found in Jesus, so that you can have eternity with Him and spend eternity with us while we're there too. So thank y'all so much for watching today's episode of Going Deeper at the Well. Let's continue to grow in Christ and think about eternal things.